Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. This is our video presentation for group project DSC 651. Our group project is about data of student academic status in Europe. The aim is to know the statistical number of students in Europe based on their academic status. These are the presenter for this group project presentation. My name is Kunur Balkis and these are the other members which are Nur Anis Munirah, Nur Akikah and Nur Afika. We have three objectives, and the first objective is to identify factors that affected student academic status. So, let's take a look at the dashboard of objective 1. This is the dashboard of objective 1. We have two dashboards, which is this and this. Based on the dashboard, we can see the total number of students, which is 4,424. The number for enrolled student is 794. Meanwhile, for dropout is 1,423. And lastly, for graduate is 2,207. We have 5 factors which are gender, marital status, day or evening time, attendance, place of residence, and international student. Let's take a look at the first factor, which is gender. As you can see, for the graduate, the number of female students is higher than male student. For enroll, female students are also higher than male students. And finally, for dropout, it is more or less the same for male and female students. So we can say that for the gender, female students are not affected with the academic status as they have more graduate students, while for male students, it is affected them because they have more dropout students than graduate and enroll. Second factor is marital status. For graduate student, the highest student for marital status is single, while the lowest is for all other marital status such as widower, legally separated, and others. For enroll and dropout student, the single marital status is also the highest than the other marital status. From the chart, user can determine which marital status are the most affect student academic status in their education. The third factor is day or evening attendance by the student. As you can see on the tree map, the number 1 represents the attendance for daytime, while number 0 is represented for evening time. From the tree map, it is shown that most of the students went to the class in the daytime for all the academic status, which is graduate, dropout, and enroll. But we can see that the most highest student is for graduate, that they went to the class during daytime. Even though there are many students graduate who went to the class during daytime, but there are also many students who drop out even if they went to the class during the daytime. It is clearly shown that even with better attendance during daytime, there are also students who still drop out. Next factor is student place of residence. The chart will display the total number of students based on academic status, and it has been divided into two parts for those who stay at home and those who did not stay at home. From the data display, it has been shown that the total number of students who stayed at home is greater than the number who did not stay at home. And the last factor is international student. The stacked bar chart has shown the number of graduate, drop out and enroll based on international and non-international student. In this data collection, the data from non-international student is the highest compared to the international student. For non-international student, the largest number of students are at graduate status, while the second highest are dropout student, and the lowest total number of students is the enroll status. From all of these factors, our target user, which are teachers and lecturers, can identify on which factor that affects student academic status and make a comparison between them. So, our objective 1 can be achieved.
The second objective is to analyze student academic status based on financial status. As we know, the target users are teachers and lecturers. So, this is the tree map graph that explains about student academic status, whether they are a debt holder or not. From this tree map graph, our target users can see that most of all students is not a debt holder in all three categories, which are graduate, dropout, and enrolled students. But among the dropout students, the number of students who are a debt holder is greater than in the other two categories. Next is the stack bar chart, which presents students as scholarship holder based on their academic status. Target users can see that the number of students who do not receive a scholarship is greater than students who do receive a scholarship. From the students who are not a scholarship holder, the graph shows that the lowest number of students are enrolled students. And among the students who are a scholarship holder, the highest number is graduate students. Based on this cluster chart, either students pay the tuition fees or not. Our target users, which are lecturers and teachers, can see that the highest students who pay the fees are graduate students, while the highest students who do not pay tuition fees are dropout students. Here, we can relate that the financial problems can be the cause of students dropping out. Next, we will discuss the students' financial situation based on parents' occupation. This tag array chart was used to represent the mother's occupation. We have 32 jobs and the meaning of each number was explained in the report. I am also providing here. For the highest number of students, our target users can see that it is from dropout students, and the occupation is a number 10, which means unskilled worker. For the enrolled and graduate student, the chart also shows the number of 10. For further occupation, the array chart includes 42 types of jobs, and I also provide the meaning of each number here, which can also be gotten from the report. Lecturers and teachers can see that the maximum is in the range of 12 to 15, which it is from graduate students. Their further jobs is in the army. We can conclude that the parents' occupation will affect their students' education too, especially based on the financial.
Research Objective 3 to determine which cause that affect the higher student academic status. This objective is to show the relationship between higher student academic status and the employment rate. The last chart represented by the courses. This is to show a courses that affect student status, which is to determine which course that affect the higher student academic status. This figure also presents the staggered area chart for the course taken by the student. The x-axis represents the course category and the y-axis represents the number of students. By on this chart, for example, for the nursing course, it has the highest value for each category of student academic status. From the chart also, users which are lecturer and teacher can predict which course that will lead to employment rate and what course has the highest number for student achievement. Hence, if the student graduate is increased, then the employment rate will decrease.
Now, we look at the dashboard that we have created to achieve all our objectives. On the first page, we use 4 cards, one of which shows the total amount of student data, while the other 3 cards show the amount for student status, namely dropout, enroll, graduate. On the first page, there are also several dashboards that answer the first objective, which is to identify the factors that affect the academic status of students. There are several different types of graphs used to represent each factors. On each graph, we can identify the number of students for each dropout, enroll, and graduate status. We just need to click on the graph to see the amount for each status. For example, if you want to see the number of graduates based on gender, just click on the graduate graph and the number will appear on the card above. Likewise for dropout and enroll, and also so on other factors. On this page, there is also a button classified as the next button. If this button is clicked, then it will move to the next page. This page shows the dashboard connection for the first objective. Move to the third page. On the third page, this dashboard is based on the second objective, which is to analyze student academic status based on financial status. On this dashboard, we can see the number of student dropouts, enroll, and graduate based on their economic situation, where they consist of debtor and scholarship recipients. There are also those who are unable to pay tuition fees, which cause their academic result to fall. The type of mother and father occupation also affect the academic status because there are a few parents who are unable to give money to their children, which causes them to be unable to continue learning. For the last objective, there is a dashboard that can fulfill the objective of this project, if seen on this graph. Because nursing has the highest amount of students compared to other courses. But the highest number does not guarantee that it produces many graduate students. That's why we make an evaluation to see which courses are more guaranteed to lead to higher job opportunities. On each page, there is also a back button that allows us to return to the previous page to make it easier for users to see each analysis.
In conclusion, this dataset contains useful information that can be extracted for educational management in Europe. All project objectives, including the main goal, were accomplished and exceeded. The first objective is identifying the main factors that affected student academic status was evaluated through all the factors. The interactive dashboard allows the user to compare the relationship between all elements. Next, the second objective was met, which was to analyze student academic status based on financial status. The dashboard at second page allows users to acquire multiple inputs by inputting the factors. It displays financial information for each student type, including enrolled, dropout, and graduate students. Finally, to determine which course affected the highest student academic status, which can lead to unemployment rate, there is a visible relationship between these two attributes. As if the course taken for nursing increased, the unemployment rate decreased if the student highest status is higher for graduate. If otherwise, it will not decrease. Hence, the main goal of this project was to generate a helpful interactive dashboard that helped the educational management in preparing good information for new and existing students. This dashboard will help educators to easily analyze and implement new strategies that are effective and reach out to the right target audience.